Good morning, Kansas City, and welcome to another edition of KCPS Homeroom. I am Chris Odom, your English coordinator for the Kansas City Public Schools, and today I am joined by a wonderful student of the past who came out of Paseo Academy. It was really, exciting to work there for the years I did, and kept meeting more and more people I imagined would go off to do things. I'm in a really neat situation, having taught younger in my life, is really I get to see how people are going to use what they did with their time in school. And lately I've been following up with some people, and Rachel's here to talk to us a little bit about her experiences that have come from some of her work that may have confirmed it when she was working as an earlier student that you might be right now. So I know as young people, you're really kind of trying to weigh your options for your paths, and it's really helpful sometimes to hear from people who have gone through that process and kind of can lead you a little bit. So I'm going to ask Rachel to go ahead and introduce herself and tell us a little bit about an update from her. I honestly haven't seen her since what year did you graduate?
2007, I
Wow.
think.
Yeah. So yeah, I started teaching in 2001 and really finished out my teaching in the classroom in like 2016. So you're right there in that
Yeah, right in the thick
part,
of it.
right? Okay, well, yeah, give us an update.
Essentially, I am a freelance social media strategist and content creator. I work in the fandom space. You might be familiar with some of the franchises that I specialize in: DC, Marvel, Star Wars. They're just some tiny names that are in the industry, real little, nobodies. But so essentially, I do content creation and offer commentary on these franchises, as well as video essays, and really just like critical thinking as far as the creation process for film and comics and animation and anything that really kind of like entertains in the internet space. So that's basically what I do. I just and it's freelance, so I kind of control my own schedule and basically work for myself. So I get to set my own pay rate, which is pretty nice, and I get to do what I love. So I never really work a day in my life anymore. So yeah.
Awesome. So what, if you can unwind your path and kind of go back to how you got to that point,
Yeah,
can you,
yeah,
can you
I
give it
can.
some of the steps coming all the way back from the days that you were walking out of Paseo?
Yeah, so graduating from high school, I was pretty stressful just because my father actually had a stroke that year that I was, dealing with privately. So it was very touch and go. And the fact that he was able to attend was huge, because we didn't know if he was going to, make it. So there was that. And, that's it. So that kind of already like rocks, just the not really like your college experience, but just like you have that hesitation, really, it's just like, do I need to do this right now? Do I need to be with my family? Like, basically, like, if your family is telling you go, go. You know what I'm saying? Seize the opportunity, and own it, because you do not know when and if there is going to be enough space time for you to seize the opportunity again. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do yet. Just know what you're passionate about. Love those things. Don't be afraid to love them, because it really can evolve if you give yourself enough time into something. I literally graduated high school. I went into like art school. I went into the Art Institute. I, dabbled over at Columbia in Chicago. And then I finally landed at the Carter Art Center in Penn Valley, so I could just be closer to home. And I dabbled in radio broadcasting. I thought I wanted to do journalism. It really wasn't it, just because I loved research, but I didn't like, being told, like what I needed to cover. I didn't like having a boss. So went back to school, learned more skills, these hobbies, like making little edits, about my favorite comic book characters, or, doing like a live stream on Instagram, to talk to people about like the latest comic pulls that they did this week. This all caring, researching, investing in these brands, these franchises, it taught me a lot about business as far as like customer demand, how much power, viewers and consumers really have, like as far as influence on IP and on intellectual property. And then it also kind of really didn't like make me want to like sell out, but it really made me want to be a part of something big that had just like built like a monolith, on, fanaticism in a sense, where it's just like, just people being like really passionate and willing to throw money, away at something, and the way that they reward that consumption. That is something that is so fascinating to me. So through all this research, through all of these jobs that I took, doing all of these things that I didn't want to do, I found a way to basically create, a consumable that adds value to people's lives and gives them confidence every day to really just pursue their passions, and live essentially against the grain, which, Chris, you kind of encourage us to do that, like as kids pretty early on. You had two rules. Don't be afraid to go against the grain and make yourself available to inspiration. I have lived and died by those words like time and time again over the last like 13 years. So it's just, don't be afraid to be yourself, because if you're not afraid to stand out, it makes people it just makes it easier for people to, one, see you and really just like invest in you as an authority. Like just love what you love, become an expert in it, you know what I'm saying, and see where that takes you, because it didn't always pay off, at the beginning, but nothing really does at the beginning. That's why the beginnings are the hardest. So it's just like, it's just starting to now, and it's, yeah. I'm
That's
exhausted.
fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic, and how fun to hear my own rules. Or really, those aren't even rules that I would have created, but was like harvesting that I got out of going to the creative writing program at UMKC. Yeah. And they were interesting because they were mostly grown-ups making rules for each other about art. And I developed it. I think I still know it. It's like a 23 rule checklist that, yep, I don't know if it was complete or in what stage, but yeah, that one about being available when inspiration comes, that was somebody else's, obviously, but then that's so interesting. And one reason I started doing these interviews is it started to dawn on me kind of in that same way. I was watching Tiny Desk Contest, Top Shelf, and I realized like I sound like Bob Boylan, like to begin with, and scared me. I was like, wow, we have like the same like conversational pattern, and whoa, what if I interviewed people? And then I kind of just played with the idea and shot it around. And I wanted to start with people I had experiences with. And then I want this same pattern to start to happen for the kids who go to these schools in our district right now. This is kind of like a challenge to call out and say, do you want to come on? Do you have a piece that you would like to share? Do you have, and that's the same way Coffee House kind of rolled out. It was a feeling of what do I do with this amazing platform? And man, I had no idea back then that it really was like more of a national discussion and that there were giant movements going on. I've been to Hip Hop Ed since in Harlem, and I got to meet Christopher Emden. And like, I've been making materials myself about how to create a coffee house poetry situation at your school. So I'm just totally honored and excited to interview everyone from that lineage, because I feel like we made these things together. And I was talking to Unique Hughley, and when he and I went to Brave New Voices as a national event, I remember Robert Brown telling me about it forever ago, and just thinking, boy, like there's layers to this, and and so like you're saying, when it takes a while to really get in your niche and to really realize that you're there, I've also realized I have not some duties, but definitely duties would be part of the word, but I am on myself now to do something with my white male status. And I'm excited more so to know that I belong at the table. And it's helped me remember that by talking to prior students, by just expanding who I can have in my network, really. It's really, really important to me. And back then, I think I made that known, but I didn't know how to really lead with that,
Mm.
and that needs to be something people learn how to do, is make it clear, really what your mission in having conversations about race is, or certainly not hiding from them. So it there's a lot of white folk out there probably hiding, and let's have some conversations. So sorry to
Yeah.
steal a tiny bit of your platform.
Oh, no, you're fine. No, it's crucial. And one of the most rewarding things that I do is being able to facilitate a space. So, people who essentially use like the IPs that I'm supporting, basically is like escapism, like they're just trying to escape reality.
Right.
And so, a lot of the triggers and the hangups that they have from their day to day, they're just very desperate to get away from. And some people don't all nerd the same way. Others who use it to escape use it to reinforce their status quo. So it's very important to have conversations about how these things are structured, how reality outside of internet like time, how it contributes and really feeds in and inspires these pieces that are created
Wow.
to that we're currently having this conversation over. So it's like I it is really sad to me that especially in the last 5 years, people have been so terrified to really kind of talk about political motivation and identity politics and civics, the things that really just kind of like motivate us to function as like a society. Because in my world, in my line of work, a lot of these pieces were created and inspired by the times, what I'm saying, to create conversation. And now the exact opposite is happening because of there's just, I think, an intimidation factor of too much information available. So when I get to see people just kind of break those barriers down, have the conversation, do the work, it is the best, because it's like I'm getting my childhood fantasy, just like I'm living in that world, but it's being fully contextualized through the identity and the framing that like I need via the community that I'm supporting. And it's fabulous. So no, I'm glad that you're using the platform that you have to really do what you can to shine light on those who are systemically being oppressed and would not have as much success otherwise. So like, good on you for that.
Well, thank
For
you.
sure.
And by no means is that just a singular motivation. There's that, like you're saying, this is a complex time. I think the best thing to do is just like get involved and explore what this could be. That who knows, these little conversations are so dynamic and fascinating, and I would love people to watch them and then have their own conversations, or start something like this. So anybody could reach out and have a conversation with anybody that we're going to send up to something else for another possibility. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the kind of things I want to start doing more of, and I appreciate you being part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's been exciting to reflect with students just in general, and it's even more exciting that you're hitting the niche area that really seems like it's giving you back all the joy of doing it. So props on that. That is like the ultimate goal of getting yourself out there and taking that chance. And thanks again for all the hopeful words of encouragement to the young writers and business people and entrepreneurs and all the many different revenue streams that you can find at once, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen amazing lists of things Paseo students do, and they're doing them simultaneously, sometimes multiple ways to serve one event, to be the photographer, the DJ, the caterer in some senses. Like I think Brandon does like everything. Which Brandon? There's a couple of Brandons. I don't
I
know.
think I know which one.
Brandon Butler.
Yes.
My gosh, I don't know how many. If you're calling those revenue streams, man, like it's pretty cool. He's all over the world. You know, I see him in music videos and his own music videos, and
Mm-hmm.
right, selling things on Facebook that he cooked the night before, like a chef, and just awesome. This is a different world. So thanks again, Rachel.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
sign off. You want to leave them with any closing words? We're going to close down for KCPS Homeroom on ELA Tuesday.
Absolutely. Just whatever you do, just stay present, stay aware, you know what I'm saying, and keep an eye open. You know what I'm saying? Like we live in a world where there are no breaks. So it's just, if you can stay aware and you can stay present, hold out as long as you can. It's rewarding. Trust me.
Very good. Yeah. Take it from Rachel. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
Goodbye.